All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for another episode of Digital Soul Presents. We have in the house one of my dear friends, multi-talented, we call him the master percussionist of the stars, Grammy-nominated composer, percussionist, writer, producer, actor, sometimes comedian, all that. All those great things. I'm proud to have this brother on the show today to kind of represent what he's been doing, what he's going to do, and his plans for the future. We have our brother Victor Orlando in the house today. Victor, so glad to have you on. How you been doing, man?
I've been doing great, man. Glad to be here. Thank you for asking me. Thank you for having me on. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great time. We're going to have a good time right now with my main man,
Absolutely.
Big J.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, so I'm finally glad we're getting this done, man. We get to talk a little music here and find out a little bit more background about Brother V. We know you hail from the country, Dallas, Texas. Talk a little bit about your roots in Dallas, man.
Big D, country town. Yep, that's home. Grew up just being a little country boy and running around like everybody else. And then somewhere started discovering music, like in the 60s stuff of the Beatles and the Stones and the British acts and then rock and roll. And then I got in the high school band. So I started doing the band thing, drums, tenor drums, cymbals, and the whole thing. I didn't do bass drum. I was too little. I didn't do snare. I didn't feel like learning 120 rudiments. The whole drum line thing. We had a drum line. It was a line of drums. So it wasn't what it is.
An actual drum line.
Right. It was the pre-drum line to drum line. They're doing so much crazy stuff in drumline now. It's like, wow, I couldn't even imagine us doing that back then. The best we did, we actually patterned ourselves as a high school after Grambling, the big collegiate band that was just the show band of the Southwest. And so we patterned ourselves after them, and that's what made our bands in the Oak Cliff, Dallas area better, not better, but just looked better than the rest of them. If you just go out and march here, we went out and showed out. So that showing out part and that part got to me. Not that I craved limelight, but when I did cymbals or tenor drums, the light was on what I'm doing because I'm doing something silly, and it worked. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I didn't do a Nick Cannon thing, though. I didn't just step out in front of the line and start doing stuff by myself. That would have got you a 5-0 back in Dallas. 5-0, what you doing right in front of me? Who you think you are, Nick Cannon? Who?
What were some of the songs that you guys would perform in those drum lines back then? Do you recall?
Maybe Aretha Franklin, what you want, that kind of thing. Some symphony stuff, but nothing, no Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff, like in Drumline. But we did touch on a little pop stuff somewhere. I can't remember. We did Fly to the Bumblebee like they did in Drumline. I do remember that. I'm like, oh snap, we did that. So all of that was done, but the beauty of me starting out doing music was playing it and marching it. A lot of schools don't have that now. They play it, but they can't march it.
And that basically was your entrance into drum.
That was the high school thing, playing it, marching it, turning to the left, backing up, the whole nine, but still playing. So all of that, you had to basically know what you were playing, because you had to really think about what you was marching and know both, but the playing had to be secondary. You just play, you know where you're playing. But okay, oops, well, I don't see the line. Oh, you're out too far. That thing. You one step out too far. Yeah. So that was kind of a correlation, coordinating sound and steps that I got then. Yeah. And went from there, and music started. I started liking stuff on the radio. And then I was in a band, club band, basically. And just playing and throwing hair and sweating and playing.
Yeah, just touring around locally, around the city?
Well, mostly the group, mostly every group in Dallas had their own area that they played in. The bands that played in South Dallas played in South Dallas. The groups that played in Oak Cliff played in Oak Cliff. The groups that played in North Dallas played in North Dallas. The groups that played downtown. So every section had per se their different groups. We all knew each other. We'd all venture out and go listen to and see some of the other bands. Okay. But one of the bands I was with was bold. They could walk into a club, another club, and such and such is in the house. Let them sit in. Once we sit in, the other band was no reason to come back up on stage. You done lost your spot. It's like the Barcades walking in on Funjala, and it's like, okay, you got it. Got the rest of the night, man. Hey, right. Guys, Barcades is in the house.
Case closed.
Yeah, but so basically, with that put us. I was with like a couple of groups that was in that area that put us at the top of the chain. Nobody could beat us. We wasn't, losing members. So there wasn't nowhere else to go. Nothing. You're just there. You're just that. And I guess the words from this guy, hey, let's go to Los Angeles, sparked interest. And that's what separated me from Dallas and shot me on up this way, along with some other family things. But that was the main thing that got me, him saying, let's go to Los Angeles.
So just took a chance, huh?
Well, he actually lied to me. This was one of my good friends, best friends. He was a drummer, I was percussion. But he was always really fantasizing and making up stuff and hustling and the whole nine. Cool dude. But he said, I met two people in Ike and Tina Turner's band, which he did. They said, when we come to Los Angeles, they'll put us in the band, which they didn't. They didn't say that. They said, hey, if you're ever up in California, come by and see the band. But he kind of twisted all of that around to, if we come, they're going to put us in the band. I'm like, really?
And get out there and there's no gig.
All the stuff happened in Dallas. I closed the book on that. Wife, baby, mother, parents, grandparents, aunt and uncle, closed the book on that and headed west.
Yeah.
And got there. He didn't even come. He got locked up in jail in San Antonio.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. The line. So, but by that time, I had per se cussed everybody out in Dallas. I couldnn't go back. I'm sorry. I'm going to California.
Yeah, to eat your pride.
I guess at a young age, didn't know how to go back with the tail thing. Yeah. But I came on to California, finally met the two guys that he said he talked to. They were cool. They were great. They were warm, wonderful musicians. But they never said, come on and we'll put you in Ike and Tina Turner. They said, come by. Yeah. I said, hey, man, Danny said, you're going to put us in the band. Oh, no. We were just telling them, come by and check the thing out. It's like, oh, snap. I done made a whole trip for nothing. I'm here. All right, let's make the best of it. Where's the first club? I'm going to play it. Basically starting at the bottom again. And that's why I started at the bottom when I came to California. Just only knew my cousins that I ended up staying with for a minute. And pretty much that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hustling.
I had to mentally start hustling, not with a lying effect because it comes back on you, but just with, here I am, I got some drums. What you got, can I play?
Yeah.
And that's what kind of started me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know there is a couple of people from your hometown. You kind of got a break with them.
Yeah.
That would be Yarbrough and Peoples. Was that the first professional break?
No, that wasn't the first professional, but that's the one that put me on a different flight and a different pattern. When I got here and started playing, I got here and started playing in clubs, couple of clubs.
Okay.
And then I went up to Hollywood and saw this other club and just went in as like a 11-piece band, totally uniformed out, dancing, steps again, and playing. And I'm like, I want to play. They didn't have a percussion player. I set in, auditioned or whatever, and I ended up getting with them. And we ended up going to Canada for 9 months. So
Wow.
I've not been not that long in California. And now I'm with a group that they tour 9 months in Canada, 3 months in LA, 9 months in Canada, 3 months in LA. That's what they had been doing. So they just basically picked me up on their trip back to LA. And we headed off to Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. And that was the first tour and the biggest eye opener for me. It was amazing.
What year was that? Do you remember?
79-ish, 80.
Okay.
I got here in 78. I got in California in 78, 79-ish. And 79, 80, about 79, more 79 than 80. Because 80 was pretty much when I got back, played around with some people, then hooked up and got with Buddy Miles.
Yeah.
And started playing with him. We didn't play concerts or shows. We were just rehearsing mainly.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm riding around, and if you ask anybody about Buddy Miles's white cloud Rolls Royce, they know exactly what I'm talking about, what you're talking about. If you say, yeah, Buddy had a white cloud, I was in it, riding up and down Hollywood Boulevard, and I knew who Buddy Miles was, but I wasn't totally aware of who Buddy Miles was. And I was with a Buddy Miles at that point.
Yeah, yeah. He's definitely legendary. I particularly love the Band of Gypsies album that he played. He's a bad drummer. Yeah.
My favorite album. His albums later on I got to get into, and his
voice.
Loved his voice.
Yeah.
His voice is up there with Joe Cocker and Jagger and all. He had a great voice, blues voice, but great, and R&B voice. But I played with him. Then I started making friends with local guys, and one turned me on to Billy Preston. I started doing Billy stuff, and then the group I was with after that was Ozone from Motown's label. They turned me on to Billy Preston because they were the backup band for Motown. Billy Preston, Tina Marie, whoever else was on Motown that they backed up on shows. Ozone was the band, along with having their own songs and hits out, Little Susie and Strut My Thing and all that.
Yeah,
that was their thing that they were pushing. And I came back, found the guys, and ended up getting with them. But pretty much after that, I don't think I worked with anybody else after. That's when I got a call from Goody, Robert Goody Whitfield, who was Goody at the time. That was his stage name. And he said, hey, Caven and Lois is up here. We just got off a tour with Gap Band. We're getting ready to go out on a world tour. You want to go? Goody was in South Dallas. There was a group called Warm Excursion, which Robert Goody Whitfield, at that time was just Robert Whitfield, was the leader of. Funk band, just amazing. And Soul Reunion, which was like Norwood, Fishbone, and Trulio, because some of the band members in Soul Reunion, the Ken folks was in Warm Excursion, so we were kind of connected that way. And I look up and Robert was doing that, and Caven and Lois was in that, and so in Warm Excursion. So that's how that big whole family thing knew each other. But once Charlie came down to Dallas and found Yarbrough and Peoples and Goody and said, y'all come on back to LA. We're going to do some music on y'all. Well, they came back. I was already gone. I was already up here. They came up here and got in their little cubby holes and started doing them. I was doing me. Neither of the two crossed I don't even know when they came and how long they've been doing stuff. But I know right after Don't Stop the Music is when it was blowing up.
Yeah.
But it was that world tour with Goody, Yarbrough Peoples, and Gap that I got on. They called me up and said, "You want to go?" I said, "Yeah." And I got with them, and then I was playing with all 3 groups on that tour.
Yeah. What was that like, man? Because this is the Total Experience label. I know you. I know because we've talked, but but for the people, this is Total Experience Records. This is at the height of the label. I mean, the Gap Band is just coming. They had several records before they got to Total Experience, but when they got with Total Experience, it just got bigger. Yarbrough Peoples came out on their debut big. Goody, his debut big. I mean, all these groups at that time were just big and blossoming, and you're right in the center of that. What was that like to be in the center of all that?
Didn't know what I was in the center of. I was in the center of either Eden or Storm. Either one of the days you could take, you wouldn't know which one it was going to be. But it was cool. No bloodshed, nothing, no blood was shed from me. So I hung with it. But that was also at the time that Dick Griffey had Solar going. So you had the 2 black moguls. Barry Gordy had Motown going. Now you got the 3 black moguls. And I'm talking, they're not even in a mile radius from each other.
Yeah, in different
Solar's on Yucca.
Yeah.
Motown is on Sunset.
Yeah.
Dick Griffey's thing, Solar was on Cahuenga. So Wilcox, Cahuenga. So all 3 of them, I mean, less than a mile or so apart from each other. And that was something historic. If somebody ever did a documentary on the 3 mega black superstar producers, record companies, and businesses in
Los Angeles,
man, the amount of documentary that would come out of that.
Yeah.
But they had theirs, but I was with them, and it was cool. I mean, the touring was cool. That was second time. I thank God I got to do Canada first, and because as a kid going to school, you in geography class, you reading about all of this stuff, Canada, the world, Britain, Germany, blah blah blah. Closed the book and graduated. That's it for geography. Oh no, it's not. You're getting ready to really get a geography lesson. You're gonna really actually live the places that you read about.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the faintest of foggiest that I was about to do that.
Yeah.
But when they said, but the fun stuff was the tour buses, the flights, talking about OJ running through the airport, talking about Hertz, as Charlie Wilson, Ronnie and Robert running through, we about to miss our plane. in a 35-piece band in tow, running to, we late, trying to make that. And I think one time, if I can remember right, they actually had to back the plane up to get them because they'd already closed that door and was moving on out. And they just add that bad boy up and pick up Charlie and Ronnie and Robert in the band.
Yeah. Do you remember what was your biggest gig with them, or what city or what state you were in? Like, what was the largest one?
The biggest one for me at that time was the Forum. I mean, we did the world, so every stage was big to me. But to do the Forum and to have those lasers shooting down, because we had I think the guy that did Michael Jackson something, that Landis, whatever his first name is. John Landis. Yeah. He did the lights for the Gap Band.
No way, did he? For that show?
For that show we did at the Forum.
That's interesting.
We had a specific, not class, but a specific. I went black. A Pacific. We had specific instructions. Do not look up at the lasers in joy and happiness. Oh, look, a laser. Oh, I can't see. We had specific class. Nigga, don't look up at that.
Wow, that's some powerful stuff.
That was some power, because we're getting all this stuff because it was used on Drop the Bomb. So that was the effect.
They had to go hard on that one.
Lord, I wish we had cameras back then.
I bet.
I don't have nothing of that.
And they were doing that concert at home too in LA, so they had to go hard.
so that was the greatest moment for me then, per se.
Yeah.
But the funniest one was Forum at home, possibly sold out, because it was Gap Band, Zap Band, and I can't even think of who else was on the show, that the bill. But with 15-piece band, 30-piece band, all we got was 2 backstage passes. 2. Now I done invited 15, 20 people. And all they gave us was 2 per person because it was so many. This was a time when you could have people backstage. A lot of people. Yeah. There's people like Prince, Roger, some other people. Don't clear my stage. When I come out the dressing room, clear my stage. Because at that time it wasn't cameras, but it was, can I get order? Can I get a picture with a photographer? As you coming from the stage, as you come from the dressing room going to the stage. Well, the big guys eliminated that. Yeah. I want the thing clean. Everybody got to go somewhere, get off the stage. So, but man, the funniest was that I had them 2 passes and I had about 15 people. So I went outside where they were and I gave them the passes. I said, I got my laminate. I gave them the passes. I said, okay, come on. Joe, the guy the passes, come on in. Come on in. I take them when we go outside. I'd run back out and go get 2 more. The last trip, no, you have to take that off and put it on your shirt. Little thing, I'll put it on your shirt, you know, guess. It's like, dang, there go my sticky on the back. But I'd gotten everybody in by then. And I got them in seats.
That's funny.
That was how I got that many people into that show. I had to think, I had that many people coming and now only got 2 passes. What am I going to do? So, you know, and everybody, you know, like I said, it said, who was that just told me? Stacy just told me, Stacy Lamont, the drummer. I said, the Jacksons just played somewhere in LA. He said, yeah. I said, oh man, I wish I could have seen that show. I said, but you guys are going to play in Vegas coming up soon. He said, yeah, in April. I said, oh man, but I know that you probably won't be able to get nothing. He said, no, I can get your pass easier in Vegas than I can here because ain't nobody in Vegas to be inviting. In LA, everybody and their mama want to come. So
of course.
I might be in Vegas in April.
I heard that.
But that was one of the biggest ones, and that was one of the cool ones. For them, you know, along with the Hollywood Bowl, the Greek. I don't know if we did the bowl. No, I think we did the Greek. Yeah, the Greek. I may have done the bowl with somebody else. But from the Gap Band, from all of the groups I've played, I've dang near played in every venue in this city, unless they're new venues.
Yeah.
I chalked that up to, okay, I've been there. I played there. Ooh, I played there. Ooh, man, I played there. Wow, I played in a lot of venues. And that's when I started thinking, I'm old.
Not old, you just experienced.
I'm old as the buildings I'm playing in.
No, them buildings were there before you.
Building established in 1937. Vic came in 1938.
Them buildings are old. A lot of them buildings now, you go into them, you can still smell that old smell in them buildings.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say no names, but
I know, right. Shoot. When I went over to Japan, the building was so established that every local group from California had gone through there. The dressing room, it was an honor to have your name written on the wall.
What venue is that?
Mugen's.
Okay, I thought I saw that. I haven't been there. Okay.
Yeah, Mugen's was the spot. Mugen's was kind of like a Roxy or a Troubadourish type place. But it was eclectic. I mean, people that we know now that are with major groups, they had been there. Their names was on it. So, oh man, that's such and such from the Daz Band's name up there now. He's the Daz Band now, but that's his name when he was just local band. Because we went with a local band. Because our guitar player was Japanese. And he knew the spot. So he talked the guy into letting him bring his band over. They set us up at 2 band houses. And I think we played there for a month, 3 weeks to a month or whatever. That was an experience. 6 shows a night starting at 9:30.
Wow.
Yo, slavery ended.
That's a 9 to 5.
Yeah, slavery ended, guys. What you doing over here?
Yeah, that's like a 65-hour work week there.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that was amazing. That was deep. That was deep and different. So
Yeah.
by that time, that was like 85-ish that I
Mhm.
did Japan. So now I'm really saying, because Gap Band took me to Germany, Italy, France. We did Nice, France for the Cannes Film Music Festival. I've done the world now,
I,
which
I know
that's
that
really cool.
I know that you've actually played with very many Grammy nominated and Grammy winners. Chaka Khan, LL Cool J. I mean, so many artists that you worked with. Who are some of the artists that you like to listen to, even back in the day, that really like become part of you or influenced you? Some groups or artists that you really like are your prime favorites there.
Yeah, well, because music has changed, I'm old school on the real of quality of music, musicians, instruments, vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't mean to, but unfortunately, I judge everybody and everything on the people that I've come from. If you and I try to be in that Hall of Fame of people, I try to make my stuff come up to that quality
Mm-hmm.
of as a me percussionist, Mongo Santa Maria, Tito Puente, Tito Rodriguez, uh, Escovedos. I try to that's who I'm looking at. That's who I want to be like. That's who I got to play up to their quality.
Yeah.
And the same with music and people.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear 10 chicks sing, I don't mean to judge you with Chaka, but I done been with Chaka and you ain't there. And what gets me, I know you're trying, but if you ain't trying to get there, that's what pisses me off. You're faking now. You're just out there wanna be. You're not trying to get your notes right. You're not trying to be in tone. You're not trying to do stuff that's like the biggies, like the real people that's going to make them be legends. That's going to make longevity. I want to have longevity. And how do I get it? Look at the people that's got longevity and see why they got it and see what they're doing to get it.
That's it.
So coming through, I listen to Mandrill. The music is just amazing. I still listen to Gap Band because their stuff was funky, powerful. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire before when I got up, I put on the Gratitude album.
Yeah.
And Cameo stuff was just thick and dripping in funk. Latin stuff is always Mark Anthony or Santana, Gloria Estefan, because the rhythms are just all over and I've heard this stuff since 70s, 80s, 90s. So how many times can you hear Black Magic Woman and still be in love with it and still never turn it off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you hear, oh man, they did that. And I didn't hear that. Dude, you've been hearing this song for like over 3,000 times and you didn't hear that one thing in there. Mm-hmm. So that's the classic locking in of the music that I like. Yeah. I couldn't tell you one thing Lizzo did do. I don't know when her gym membership ran out. Stop. I told you, part-time comedian. I don't know. So I can't tell you none of these people's stuff because it's nothing sticking.
Yeah.
Bruno's stuff is only sticking because he went and grabbed our stuff. He went and grabbed stuff from back there to make his stuff stick, which is cool. If you ain't bringing nothing to stick, go get something that was sticky and put it with yours, and now your stuff is sticking with it. I always say, for me, and I tell people, don't put an album out, don't put nothing out unless it can be compared to something or someone else. Because that's what's going to make a person initially, oh man, that sound like, oh, but no, that's John. Oh, that's Victor's stuff. What that sound like? Take it, because that puts you on a track.
Yeah.
Not on a track where 2 minutes later after, what is it? Okay, change channels.
Yeah.
But
it's forgettable. Yeah.
Yeah, forgettable. Make you some stuff that's unforgettable.
Right.
So my songs on my CD, Argentina, man, that sound like Santana. But man, no, it's Victor. Okay, first words come out your mouth sound like Santana.
Yeah.
I
you're
got
doing
it.
something right.
Yeah, and right. I got it bad. Man, that girl sound like chocolate. That sound like Graham Central State. Is that Graham? No, but it's Vanjala, but that's chocolate from Graham. So yeah, you got that right. Ding ding. Next question right. So that's how I did my songs, thinking in the vein of the people, not repetitiously stealing from them, but making it unforgettable to a person to listen to it upon first listening. You throw a bunch of original stuff at people that's out of your mind, that's out of your heart, that's perfect, that's fine, it's your money, you did it. But if it ain't connecting with people, it's gonna be like a short fuse, like you light on a firecracker. It's gonna and gone. Put it to where at least you light it and it's sizzling before it blows up. Oh man, that sound like something. Even if you can't put you can just that sound like Shanice. Sometime in music, because back in the 70s, for some reason, all of those groups borrowed from each other. You can hear some Bootsy and Gap. You can hear some James Brown in this. You can hear some such. It's like, were them Negroes in the studio when we were cutting this? Because I showed here some chords like what we were playing on such and such. Yeah. Well, that's how even them, they did it. They borrowed from each other under stealth. I'm gonna borrow that chord because it sounded good. And you hearing the song and you grooving, man, that sound like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, that's Gap Band. But if you sit and really diagnose, put a diagnostic on everybody's stuff from the 70s, I bet you 75-80% of it is intertwined into each other. A card stolen from Barcades. Barcades, I'm told, was the biggest thieves in the business. Barcades would steal your riff in a heartbeat.
Boldly steal it.
Boldly.
A blatant steal.
As soon as the needle hit, oh, that's Gap. No, that's Barcade. Now, one of the biggest licks from the Gap Band I'm hearing, and I don't even know where they got that from, but I'm hearing that on so many people's stuff, on their shows. I'm like, that was our lick. I know that was our lick.
Parliament Funkadelic uses that.
Yeah, Parliament uses that.
Yeah, they do it quite a bit.
A couple of the funk bands use that in their show.
Absolutely.
The bass line that Robert, I don't know if Robert and I can't. All I know is I was there in the pot of the mix, so I can only talk about where I was. But Robert's whatever the lick, but that little lick is in so many people's stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing it and I'm like, that's as soon as I hear them, that's Robert's lick. That's Robert's lick. But it's in another group. Yeah. So they stole. But I'm just saying, when I tell people, young people and people, whatever you make, think about what you're doing. Think about the people's longevity of what they did and how their longevity and what they did to make themselves that, and then say, okay, well, let me just put a teaspoon or something in there. So on I got some funk stuck in your throat. I start off with the black, black. I got some funk. The first 2 bars is Ronnie Kaufman. Yeah. Gap Band. Yeah. Right. I'm stealing your lick for my song. Let you know right now. and Robert's on the song. So I wanted to make that funk, Gap Band, funk and flavored. So I went and got him. Well, I didn't actually get him. He actually came and asked me to be on it. Yeah. That was a treat in my career, in my life. Robert said, hey, man, how you doing an album? Want me to do something on it? And I'm going to say no for some stupid reason. For some strange, stupid reason, I'm going to say no, that's okay, Robert. Yeah. I said, well, we're at the studio, man. Come by if you want to. Do whatever you need to do, whatever you'd like to do. So I'm in the studio mixing. I got some funk stuck in my throat and it can't come out. And I got a white boy on the boards and he's not, it's missing something. You got any paste pecan to put something in what you're doing? Bro, I'm missing something. And I know.
Need some of that stank.
And I don't know boards. All them years I was with people, I never went in the studio and did boards. I sat in the room, played, on my check, got my check, and went back home. Go in the studio, played, got my check. They would be in there turning knobs, pushing faders, pulling. I didn't have a clue. Robert came in, and I was sitting there with the white guy, and I was like, trying to get my head to move, and it was like, come on, move, head. It's like, and I'm feeling this presence, Obi-Wan Kenobi behind me. And I'm sitting there going, it was Robert standing at the back of the door. He said, you want me to do something? I said, Robert, this is the engineer, whatever his name was. This is Robert Wilson, Gap Band. Said, Robert said, can I do the boards? I said, can he do your boards? Basically, get out the way, because you don't know what you're doing. I'm finna send somebody down here. But I was trying to be diplomatic, like not just move. So Robert sat there, and Robert took the faders and pulled all of them down to zero at all, everything, the whole song. And started with
track by track,
inch by inch.
Yeah.
And he got what sound he needed out of each one of them.
Yeah, that's the way I work too.
Pull the song back up. Now my head is on a and then he pulled
his some funk in your life now.
Man, he pulled that
now the funk is funky.
Yep, magic. He just ding, pull that bass out. I got some fun stuck in my throat. Can't come stinking. And then at the end, we had the song already cut, so he didn't come in and he didn't do anything to the arrangement. He didn't do anything to the sound of the song. He just
leveled it.
Like a needle, just threaded his way through the whole song and played to the song from him. And that point at the end of it, and he was playing, it was a bass solo with the percussion, getting ready to go out of the song into the vamp. That's all him mentally coming up with it. And as it was done, all I could think of at the end of Shake, when Charlie said, get it, Robert. That's all I'm thinking. Get it, Robert. And Robert went there and Shake. And I'm like, on the bongos, ping, boom, 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 ping, boom, 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 boom. And I ain't told him one note to play, and I didn't tell him one rhythm to play.
You just did what Robert do.
And I liked it, and Bootsy liked it because it ended up going somewhere.
Yes.
But yeah, man, that's some of the beginnings of what I do.
Yeah, rest in peace to Robert Wilson, man, from the legendary
and Ronnie Wilson, R.I.P.
And Ronnie, one of the baddest groups still to this day, baddest bass players, and man, just prime stuff, man. Still get you on the dance floor, still funky as I don't know what. God bless those brothers, man.
And we didn't know what we were just in it. We didn't know what it meant to people, like it does, like the words you just said, that it was one of the most powerfulest groups that came. I mean, Earth Wind will tell you they didn't know everybody will say they didn't know what they had when they were doing what they were doing, what kind of effect it was going to be on anybody.
You're just in the moment.
That's what makes it special with any group that does that. They're not trying to be egotistically, I'm going to be the baddest and the best, and you ain't going to remember nobody else. They just did them. And now, years later, we're remembering you from that early stage on, and what part of our lives, everybody's lives that you were a part of.
I know you touched on some of those song titles that you kind of blurted out there, but I wanted to kind of fill people in on the actual album, the In the House album, that those songs are coming from. Talk about the process a little bit of putting that album together. That's the first actual album that you did by yourself, right?
Yeah, my album. That's the very first.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the process of putting that joint together.
Whoa. Like I said earlier, I didn't know how to turn buttons. So that was a big downfall. And I didn't know how to play music. That was the second. Well, how'd you get a Grammy nominated album out of your head? Put it in there. It's my job to get it out.
Was it a collection of songs collected writing over the course of the years, or what you just decided at that time to write all those songs, or how were the songs developed?
Yeah, originally, well, I was married at the time with a family, and I would go to bed at night, and I'd be driving around because I was a delivery driver. I'd be driving around and I'd hear horn lines, and I'd hear stuff that I like, and then I go to bed and I lay my head on the pillow and I'm like laying there, and on the pillow I'm tapping. So I'm like, I like that, but I'm tapping on the pillow. It ain't going no further than in my head and on a pillow. And I'm like, I like that. And I'm like, okay, next day I'm driving, and then I pick up the phone and call home during the time in life that we had answering machines. And it said, Victor's not at home, leaving a message, blah, 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 blah. Beep. Beep. My wife, honey,
Disregard that passage.
Don't erase that. That's a horn line. It's on. So she didn't. And so now I set my keyboard up, my two congas up, and my speakers up, the best of my knowledge of doing it. So I'm getting sounds out of everything. And I'm like, okay, I done just got through spitting the bass line. Da-doom, doom, da-doom, doom, da-doom, doom, da-doom, doom. Now let me go find it. One finger. Doom, 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 ding, nope, wrong note. Doom, 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 wrong note. Doom, 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 doom. So I found my three notes that I wanted. Record it, hit the record button. Doom, 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 doom. Got that down. That's all going to the lyric that I done already come up with. And I'm doing it, and I got 4 songs, 2 funk and a reggae song and a ballad, I think. They're all in this Bose recording thing where you can record everything inside the machine.
Yeah.
And I had been doing it day after day after day, doing it, adding stuff to it and the whole thing. I'm creating 4 songs that's coming out of my head that's God is putting in there, because I'm not a songwriter, I'm not a player, and I'm not a composer, but I'm getting these songs, melodies, and lyrics in my head, and I'm writing stuff. I'm hearing melodies. And Christmas time, wife all up in here, all up in the ear. Get that stuff out of the living room. Get that stuff out of the living room. I gotta put the tree up. I get that stuff out of the living room. Move everything to the garage. Christmas is over. Move everything back. Set everything back up the way I thought I had it, and hit the play button to see where I was. Headphones on, hit the play button, and I'll get back to where I was. There's nothing on the play button. Everything is gone. I didn't hit the save button before moving it to the garage. I would have been sent up 20, 30 years for murdering my wife, for pushing me to that. I have 4 songs that I have 4 songs that I have 4 songs that I never had in my life before. They're in my head now, and now they're gone. And now don't even know what they were, but they're gone. I don't know how to get them back. And then I got this big brick of lead that just dropped in my stomach, because I'm like, oh no. So they're gone.
Yeah.
Then I go to Target or Best Buy, whatever, and I get one of those recorder things. So now I can sing everything into the recorder, and I have it right there, and I can play it back in the car. That's the formation of In the House, the CD. Everything that was on there pretty much was sung into the recorder. Let the musicians hear back, and as they hear it back, they play back what's on the recorder. Then I get the talented people of the engineers and the mixing people to put it all together.
Yeah.
So I call that whole situation a puzzle. I got all the pieces up here. I throw them out on the board. I push these red pieces over to my horns. This is the red pieces. I push my other pieces, the colors for my keyboards, blah, 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 blah. Then I sit all the pieces in front of the engineer and say, okay, let's mix. Here's what I'm hearing. Let's mix that into the picture, the song as a picture. Then when they finish doing everything they do and I finish hearing everything, now we have a picture on the wall of that's the song, the picture. Then to listen back to that whole thing and say, I like that. That's everything I thought of. And then for me to say, I like that. Yeah. That's the period to it, no matter what anybody else in the world says. Not even the fact that, hey, I paid for it, but I like it. I like it. Now let me find another person to like it, 2 people. Let me find 3. Song goes to #1 in Europe. Yeah. I think I found more than 3 people at this point. Yeah. So, but
you made a very important point. You have to like it first. You have to like it first.
Yeah, you have to like it first, because absolutely. I mean, you can get 20 guys in there to mix and to produce, and they'll have 20 different ideas of what they like. They're not inside your stomach or your head to hear what you like. And you always couple what you like. And then that's when I started learning, okay, it's not totally what I like. It's what I like initially. Okay, what's the next step of what you like? Well, what is everybody else liking that correlates with what you like? Well, if you wrote this funk song and you know Gap Band is doing that, well, can you get a teaspoon of that and put in your song? It's not going to mess up what you like, but it's just going to enhance it. If you like cake and they got a chocolate cake out there and you got a plain cake, but it's a good cake, but that chocolate cake is really, can I borrow some chocolate? Sprinkle just a little chocolate on your cake. Now you know, now your cake looks like theirs, but it ain't theirs.
Yeah, but it got a little chocolate on it.
It got chocolate on it.
Better than plain.
Then you get it, it's plain, but it's working for you. But now, once you're happy with the cake you made, now what can you do to make it a show cake, a showroom cake? What can you make your plain
add some touches to it?
To be a wedding cake now? What can you do to make that cake that? It's still a cake. You made it. You love it. You'd eat it by yourself if you had to. Could care less if anybody else ate it. But if you want it in the wedding cake, if you want it in a wedding in the showroom, okay, what are they doing? Okay, they got 3-layered tiers. Okay, they got stuff hanging off the side. They sprinkled stuff on. You got to think that. Yeah. And it doesn't, and some different people are different. You don't have to go the whole wedding route. You could just, okay, well, I'm just going to put a few sprinkles on mine. That's all I want. I'm conservative. I'm a conservative dude. So you go that. You know, the flamboyant people get a bigger cake. You know, so I've just took the route because of everybody that I grew up listening to and liking were flamboyant. Yeah. I just didn't do the normal ordinary, mentally, even mentally. And then to find people that took stuff a bit further and knew more than I did, like Tony Grant. When I had Tony come in and sing my 3 new songs, he stacked so much stuff on there because he knew what he was doing. I couldn't even consciously hear stacking. I couldn't even hear background. When Wendy did I Think About You, when Chocolate did I Got It Bad, she did the lead and the background and the ad-libs. And I'm like, I would have never come up with that. That I would have never. So
well, that's what we're working with true artists, you know, with creativity flows like that, you get the best, you know.
You know what lane you are in, and you know that, okay, if vocals aren't my strongest point, let me move my car over to this lane and grab somebody in that lane, and then move it on over to the next one to mix it to where now you're mixing my greatest attributes and this person, and it's working. I'm still liking my song. So when Tony came in, I sung everything on my album, but I didn't like it because it was cool for me. I liked me singing it. I was cool, but I didn't like it to be commercial. Now, okay, this is the blueprint of it. Let me drive over here and find somebody. If I sing it to them, give me you, because I love the way you sound. Just give me that on this with these lyrics. They do that, and I'm like, okay, I'm really liking my cake now. You know, So that's how I go and grab pieces to put on. But you like say, yeah, you like it first, like whatever project you're doing, and then you get enhancement in a direction that everybody else is going to enjoy it.